Hello, everybody. This is Samantha Harms with the Garrison Public Affairs Office, and on this week's episode, we got two segments. First, we're talking with one of the performers for Freedom Fest. Very exciting. And second, we are talking basic skills education program with the Education Center here on Fort Cavazos. So we got a lot of great things for you. So let's get into it on this week's episode of the Great Big Podcast.
All right, welcome back. This is Eric Franklin with your Garrison Public Affairs, and I'm joined by Samantha Harms. On this episode, on this segment, we have a guest. We have Jared Reddick from Bowling from Soup. How are you doing today, sir?
I am doing fantastic. It's nice to talk to you guys.
It is so great to talk to you. So we have talked a little bit about Freedom Fest in a couple of our previous episodes of the podcast, just letting people know that it's coming up. And as part of the discussion, I kept going on and on and on about Bowling for Soup because I love your band. So
I love it.
It is an honor for me to be talking to you.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We're super excited about it. We we played Single Soldiers Day many years ago down there.
Oh.
And had a really great time. It was Bowling for Soup and the Nixons, and just had a really great time. So, and then we played Colleen several times too. So, anxious to get back down there and entertain you guys.
Yeah, that is awesome.
That's pretty cool. So, first, for me, I'm going to ask, Sam has been giving us trivia for the past 4 or 5 weeks now, I think it is. Can you tell us where the name Bowling for Soup came from?
You're asking the hard-hitting question.
Yeah, I know.
Coming out strong today.
I love it. Well, actually, it's something that we've been together 30 years, so obviously we've answered this question many times. We used to have a game where we would try and challenge each other to never say the same answer. So we do things like, all the other names are taken or, whatever. But it actually comes from a Steve Martin comedy album, and where it's called Wild and Crazy Guy. And it's kind of what put him really over the top and into doing, arenas and stadiums. But he has a joke that he's working on that I probably can't say on the air. It's bowling for another S word. And so originally, that was kind of the name of the band we were operating under. We didn't really expect things to happen so quickly. And so we did our first show in less than a month after becoming a band. And so we just changed 3 letters, and we put the word we took the word hit out and put in oop, and so now we're Bowling for Soup.
Oh, I love that. So I've seen the Twitter back and forth of, are you guys bowling for soup, or are you bowling to earn soup?
Yeah, so we let that one go for a really long time.
Yeah.
We even did a press conference about it, and finally answered that. That's the gift that keeps on giving. I guess there's just enough people in the world that every, let's say 4 to 6 months, that goes viral again somehow, and it keeps us relevant. But we have answered it. We are bowling to earn soup, since we do it for a living. But if Soup ever did need us, we would be there.
That you would answer the call for them. That's so nice.
That's right.
So for you guys have played military bases before. You played for the Navy. There's nothing wrong with the Navy, but they're just not the Army. But so for you, how has that been, being able to go and play for the troops or service members?
Yeah, I mean, we played. We've been playing for the troops, as I said, for a really long time. It dates back to, us being in a van and playing back in your spot when it was Fort Hood, and even before that at Fort Sill up in Lawton. And of course, we grew up in Wichita Falls, so some of our earliest shows ever were playing at Shepherd Air Force Base up there in Wichita Falls. So in the 30 years that we've been doing it, we played a lot for the troops. I will say that as you mentioned, the Navy took us around the world, several times, and we got to play in some pretty crazy areas. I would think that the most rewarding, it's all great, but I mean, I guess the one story that I tell all the time is we played on the USS Abraham Lincoln in the middle of the Indian Ocean on an aircraft carrier. Yeah, and so we actually got catapulted over there and met with them and first, and it was very touching because they had just been informed that they had to stay out another 6 months after being out 9 months, and they all thought they were going home like the week before, and so there were some frowny faces, obviously, and just some devastated, and for us, I'm 51 years old, and this was probably 10 years ago, so I'm 40, and so a lot of them really just looked like kids to me, and I have kids, and so being able to put smiles on their faces and for the officers to come up and say, man, it is so great to see everybody smiling and having a good time. And so that's what's been great. I mean, we've seen some really cool spots. We've made a lot of lifetime friends. I get emails all the time where it's just like, dude, I saw you in Djibouti, Africa, and we spent a week in Gitmo, and we've played all over the Middle East and all over, Japan and China and just crazy places. And then a lot of places too, where, it's funny. Some people don't even know, some of the places exist. We played this island called Diego Garcia.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it was crazy. I mean, because it's just this little island, but it's a very strategic place. They don't have anything there, and so that was really nice to be able to go up there and deliver a rock and roll concert for them, and just like I said, see them smiling and having fun.
So for you, how does it feel to be able to go to these places and come back and tell your friends, oh, by the way, guess where I was? How was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. I mean, it's really cool. I mean, it's for really what it is for me is almost, it's really more like talking to you guys. It's running into military people, or like, people that I meet along the way, because military, ex-military. Our bass player's wife is actually in the Navy. She's career, and so it's more about just having that in common with them, like having that in common with some, to be able to go, man, yeah, I mean, we were over there and, we saw this and this, and then them to be able to go, oh yeah, I was there and all of that. It was cool. But yeah, I mean, I do have some good stories that I get to tell my friends all the time. But really for the most part, it's just like, we just have this, like, first and foremost, it's amazing to be able to go over there and do that for the men and women who keep us all safe. And just because I'm in a band that like goes around and tells jokes for a living, and I literally like get to do that because, and I'm very clear as to why I have the freedoms that I have. And so, but whenever I get in conversations with people, they're like, well, I've been here and I've been here. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know what? I've been in Bahrain. I walked the streets of Bahrain with on my 40th birthday with bodyguards, and it's just one of those things where it's just like I can pretty much one up most anybody just because the military has given me so many opportunities.
That's incredible. I am super jealous of that. So I know that you and Eric go on and on about your stories, because Eric also has been to a lot of places with the Army, and so he shares a lot. But my childhood was very, it's funny because I grew up in Wichita Falls, as I said, where there's an Air Force base, but my grandparents live in Lawton, that's where Fort Sill is, and so a lot of my childhood, where I watched the fireworks on 4th of July at Fort Sill. Like that. That's where we went. It was a lot. I spent a lot of time on that base, so it's always been near and dear to me. It's we'd be swimming in their pool and you just hear these explosions. It's like, what is that? Oh, they're just training up there. It's the
what day is it? Wednesday? Yeah, they're just blowing stuff up out there on the mountain. And so yeah, it's always been something close to me, and I did not serve. My dad did, and his brother is still missing from the Korean War. They're trying to find him and stuff like that. So we definitely understand the sacrifice, and just super happy anytime we get the chance to come in and just, give somebody what I think this show for us is pretty short because we're the first band, but when we can give somebody half hour, an hour of just smiles, it's just the best.
Aw, I love that sentiment. That's really sweet. That's great. So, okay, you obviously have talked a little bit about it, but I know that you personally recently just put out, last year, a country album. So
I did.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about a little bit maybe of the influence that Texas has had on maybe Bowling for Soup and obviously your own personal life?
I sure do. And thank you for asking me that. We grew up in as I said, Wichita Falls. Country is king. It's a fairly small town if you take into consideration, it's 100,000 people, but it's kind of been that for the last 40 years or something crazy. Like it just stays the same. So everybody knows you. Shepherd is a really big part of it. But yeah, as I said, country is king. There's a lot of farmers, there's a lot of oil, so we grew up very much listening to country music. That's just what you hear all the time. It's what my parents listened to. I really do actually have a Waylon and Willie tattoo on my arm.
We will be checking that out. Here
yeah, I
in a couple
will
of days,
show you. But I found heavy metal in the 80s and then punk rock in the early 90s, and that was kind of it. I just was obsessed with it. And but the real inspiration of country and Bowling for Soup will come if you think lyrically. So if you think about the songs, Girl the Bad Guys Want, or Almost, 1985, all the hits, they're stories. And that's what country music is. It's stories. And whereas, a lot of times in country music, it can sort of get a little heartbreaking. In my songs, I try to take a spin and make them happy, But even just the layouts of the way that our songs are structured, especially the early stuff, it's very, very country influenced. And we all have Texas tattoos and wear it on our, just wear it on our sleeve. One of our big songs is called Ohio, but the chorus is Come Back to Texas, and so, big influence on us. And so when COVID hit, I had been talking about doing a country record for years and years and years. And, much like many people in the world, not you guys, I know you guys just basically, it was just, Tuesday, but for us, like sitting and, not doing anything. And I finally had the time. And so I did it. And I'm so glad I did because, it's filling in the gaps of when Bowling for Soup isn't busy. And I love to stay busy. And my band is together and the album's doing really great. My third single should go top 20 next week. I hope, fingers crossed. And so, but yeah, and I just do that under my name, Jarrett Ray Reddick, which is, Ray is such a country thing and people thought I made it up.
Yeah, it really is.
I am named after my grandpa and my name is actually Jarrett Ray Reddick. So I just kind of lucked out from that.
That's funny. Okay, well, I'm glad you brought up Ohio because I have to ask. Obviously, in that song, you guys are talking about things in Texas that want her to come back or want them to come back. So, are you guys going to change the lyrics for Fort Cavazos wants you to come back? Because if not, you should.
Funny thing about that is, and I will do that day, but here's the funny thing about that, because you asked about the country thing, I'll let you know. So there's the original version of that song that came out in 2005, which means that album will be 20 years old next year if you want to. So which is bonkers. But so I did change the lyrics for it we have a new greatest hits coming out in August, and I changed the lyrics on that. Well, then I did it on my country record, and I changed the lyrics on it again. And so I actually get confused as to what to sing. So most of the time, I just sort of make stuff up anyway. Like I just say a bunch of stuff from Texas.
That's hilarious.
And the guys they have harmonies on the last two, so they're just watching my mouth and trying to figure out what I'm going to say.
Just taking a wild guess there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Jared, I just have like one or two more questions for you. One being, so you got Jared Goes to the Movies. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh wow, man! Wow, that's crazy.
We've done our research. We know what we're doing
you
here.
did.
This is the Army
Well,
here.
Garrett
This is
Goes
the
to
government.
Movies, was my podcast that I did for almost 10 years. We did over 300 episodes, and it was just a weekly movie podcast, but it really became more of just like a radio show where we had a cast and we talked about our day as much as we did the movie. And it was very long running, but COVID, when COVID hit, we kept it going through there. But then once Bowling for Soup went back on tour, it was really, really tough to keep it going. And so I'm very happy for what we accomplished. But Gary and I still do the Rockstar Dad Show, which again started out where we would only talk about dad stuff, and now we talk about everything. But it's mostly most of our guests are musicians, comedians, actors. People who like CEOs, like anybody like that. It's somebody that wrote a book or something like that. But we asked them about being dads, about their kids, about things that because you really don't know. Like we had Martin McGrath the other day, and he's a friend of mine, and I've read 1,000 interviews, but nobody ever asked him about being a dad. And so people love to talk about it, and people love to hear about it. Normally we can get them to talk about some stuff that they've never talked about before too, because we know most everybody. And so it ends up being really good. So yeah, at one time I had 6 podcasts. Whew. And see, you guys doing this one, what a beating that sounds like.
Yeah, 6 podcasts. That sounds unmanageable.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It was unmanageable, Samantha. It was unmanageable. And so I'm down to 2 now. And one of them I just have to show up, and it's called Music Networking 101. And I'm pretty much just the guy I'm the famous guy, really, if I'm being honest. I just show up and be the famous guy and do most of the talking during the episode. And then I'm like, see you guys next month. And
that sounds awesome. I want that job.
Much
I want to be the famous guy just to show up and do stuff.
Well, that's pretty much what you do now, though, Sam.
That's true. You're right. You do all the work.
I do. I do a lot of it. We do all the work. We do all the work.
Yes.
Well, I don't have anything else. I just want to thank you again. And I know the soldiers and the family members and the veterans here in the community are going to love the show, and it's going to be great. I can't wait for it. And yeah, I can't wait.
I think the only other thing we want to ask is what you feel, or like what message or feeling are you hoping that people will walk away from after you guys are finished performing on Friday at Freedom Fest?
Well, I can tell you what I hope for, and I can tell you what's going to happen. Everybody's going to walk away with a smile on their face. We're gonna make everybody happy. We're gonna make everybody feel good about themselves. And a big thing for me these days is mental health. I started having crazy, crippling anxiety and depression about 10 years ago, and so I'm a warrior. I serve on the board of directors of 2 charities that deal directly with people on mental health and things that surround that. And so I will 100% make sure that everybody's got a smile on their face and feel like that they're a member of our family before we leave that stage. And I have a short time to do it, but come watch me.
We're gonna I can't wait.
Absolutely.
We will be back. Me and Samantha for sure are gonna be backstage. So just so you know,
I love it.
Be looking out for us.
Well, I'm bringing my son too, and he's stoked, and Gary's bringing his son too, and they're both drummers. So it's gonna be really funny to watch them not try and play the drums the whole time.
Well, that is incredible. I am looking forward to it. So for people who aren't aware, we've got Bowling for Soup coming here on Friday, which if you are listening right now, it is tomorrow. So come on out. We're excited. So Jarrett, thank you so much for taking time with us to be on our podcast.
Thank you for having me. You guys are awesome. I can't wait to meet you face to face.
All right. Thank you very much.
Y'all take care.
Bye.
Let's keep it real. You're out having fun, you have a few drinks, now you're ready to go home and you're pretty confident you can drive yourself, right? Think again. Don't be that person. Have a plan, call a friend, and don't drink and drive.
Well, hello again. This is Janice Wright from the Fort Cavazos Garrison Public Affairs Office. We are here today to talk about education. We have an education specialist here to talk to us about the BSEP program.
Ma'am, can you tell us a little bit about what the BSEP program is? What does BSEP stand for?
Yes, so BSEP stands for Basic Skills Education Program. And BSEP is a standardized curriculum that is designed to help soldiers who score below an 8th grade math and reading level on the test of adult basic education improve upon the 3 areas that make up the general technical score. And that is your word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, and arithmetic reasoning.
So yeah, it's definitely a good tool to help place you in the military occupational specialty that you want to be in, or your MOS, your job.
Yeah, and that's what I look at BSEP in 2 very distinct ways.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, I do think so many incoming soldiers don't realize how important the ASVAB is. I think they take it and then, I've gotten into the Army, I'm good. But when you get into the Army, you find that you do need that specific GT score if you want to commission, if you want to reclass. That 110 is that magic number a lot of times to really open up the possibilities that you have in the Army. And so BSEP helps to dust off those skills that you haven't used since high school.
Yeah.
So you can raise your GT score. You can do something different. But I also think it can be used as a remedial class to say, maybe I'm not so far behind in math and reading as I thought.
Absolutely.
So now that I have this confidence and this baseline, I can enroll in college and further my career even more. And even then, when I'm out of the Army as well.
Yeah. So again, it's not a story, but for me, I was a 74 Delta chemical operations specialist. But now what I do, I work in public affairs. That was far removed from what I did. But I don't think that if I hadn't have took the BSEP, my mind wouldn't have been open to other things. And then I definitely wouldn't have been able to be like, okay, I can go to college now.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to college. And I tell younger soldiers all the time, I didn't go to college, start going to college till I was 35 years old.
Yeah.
And now I have an associate's, a bachelor's, and I'm working on my master's. But I didn't go to school. Like, if I would have known I don't want to say school is easy, because it's not, but if I would have known I could do this when I was in my 20s,
Yes.
I don't know where I would have been. So I think it's very important to have opportunities like that. And it's free.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
just the free
absolutely.
opportunities.
Yes. And everybody who works in BSEP is so passionate about it. I think that BSEP is far and away one of the most important programs that we offer at Education Services, because it can literally change your life.
Yeah.
We have seen this past term, we had a soldier raise his GT score from a 99 to a 139.
Yes. Oof.
There is literally nothing he can't do now. He
Yeah.
can do anything he wants. He can commission, he can reclass, and now he has that confidence to go and earn a degree, and his entire world just opened up.
Yeah.
And our instructors are really passionate. Everyone from our admin to our program manager to our instructor, we all genuinely want to see soldiers raise their GT scores, because we love hearing all of the different things they can do once it's raised.
I think this is going to appeal to a lot of soldiers out there that are not aware that they can take this course or enroll in this program and help, raise their GT score and open those doors.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about how would Private Franklin come into you guys' office, and how would I, if I was probably PFC, but how would PFC Franklin come into your office and get help from you guys?
So the very first thing soldiers have to do to enroll in BSEP is take what's called the Test of Adult Basic Education, the TABE. So to get your TABE referral, soldiers have to go to a mandatory brief that's offered every Monday at 10:45. And I actually give that brief. And the purpose of that is to go over, just like we're talking about now, what's the process? You're here, you want to enroll in BSEP, how do you do it? So the soldiers have to come to the brief. They get the TABE referral at the end of the brief, and then they can take the TABE any Monday at 0900 or Tuesday at 09 or 1300. It's purely walk-in. Once they take their TABE, there's what we call the BSEP student record that they have to fill out. And that's where they look at our schedule and choose the class that they'd like to enroll in.
Okay.
They annotate that on their student record. They hand it to our admin. And within about 2 weeks, they'll get an email that has their TABE results, their BSEP enrollment form, and a sample 4187. The only thing soldiers need to return to enroll in the class is the enrollment form that has to be signed by their commander. That allows them to attend an on-duty class.
Okay.
Classes are 4 weeks long, 3 hours a day, either in the morning or afternoon. And soldiers just have to return that form at least 1 week before the class begins. But classes are filled first come, first serve. So if the class is filled by the time the soldier brings the paperwork back, we just put them in a different class.
Okay.
And then they're encouraged to bring their 4187 with them to the first day of class, because the Armed Forces Classification Test, that ASVAB, now that they're in the Army, that's already pre-scheduled for them to take on the last day of class.
So again, they don't need to submit the 4187 initially. They can bring it. Okay.
Yep. Nope. That is not a requirement just to enroll in BSEP.
Okay. Earlier you mentioned 2 options.
Yep.
Okay. Can you elaborate on those?
Sure. So we have your traditional BSEP for soldiers who score below an 8th grade math and reading level on the TABE. That's your 4-week class that lasts for 3 hours a day. But then we also have some soldiers that score above that 8th grade level and really don't need that same level of instruction. So we recently started offering a BSEP boot camp, which is an 8-day BSEP class. It's an all-day class. Soldiers are there from 09 to 1600. 7 full days of instruction, and you take your AFCAT on day 8.
Okay.
And we are running our 4th BSEP boot camp class right now, and almost every single class has seen all of their scores raise above a 110, with the exception of, I think, in 2 or 3 classes, we had soldiers that made a 109.
Okay.
And just to remind everybody, the AFCAT is?
The AFCAT is the Armed Forces Classification Test.
How long have you been in the education services?
So I started working for education services back in 2014.
Okay.
And I took over BSEP about 2 years ago now.
And for you, how has it been being able to see the changes on with soldiers' lives to like for me, when I said, I was apprehensive about going to school or trying to go to school, but now I can do anything I want to do.
Yeah.
How is it for you to see that change in those soldiers?
I think I have one of the most rewarding jobs as a DA civilian, because I get to see the fruits of their labor, and I get to see soldiers' worlds change.
Okay.
So it is one of my greatest pleasures when a soldier comes into my office and they started, and maybe it took them 10, 15, 20 years to earn a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
But they did it. And now they can go on and they can do whatever it is they want to. I love what we do because we see the positive impact that education can have on soldiers' lives, both in the Army and outside of the Army. So it's been amazing to see all of the success stories from BSEP, from all of the success stories of soldiers just graduating from college. We get to see so many success stories that it never ceases to amaze me.
That's amazing. I think it's always amazing to see a soldier or just a person in general who grow. I think that for me, that's what it is. It's just whenever I get to see people grow, especially seeing what their perception on life or whatever what they may have been stuck on, to see them get past it. I think it's always amazing. It's amazing thing.
So am I right in assuming, is the BSEP boot camp a recent addition
Yes.
to accommodate soldiers who maybe don't need to start at a level that maybe another soldier has to start at?
Yes. So when I took over, we only offered your traditional 4-week classes. But the problem was, in order to qualify for those classes, you have to score below an 8th grade academic level. If you score higher than that, you can't enroll in that traditional BSEP class. So that left out this whole group of soldiers that still needed something but didn't qualify for BSEP. So we started adding BSEP boot camp for those soldiers, and it's been amazing. It's been really successful.
And how important do you think it is to make sure you accommodate all soldiers at every level?
I think it's so important because it almost, the way that we used to have it, you almost penalized soldiers for coming in with a higher GT score. You know, those soldiers that came in with the 108, 109, they still needed help, but they were left out. And so now this way, not only are we reaching those soldiers that want to progress who came in with lower GT scores, but now we finally have something tangible to offer those soldiers who are really, really close, but just need that extra push and sometimes just a little bit of extra refreshing and encouragement.
So Private Franklin could have really benefited. He could have really benefited from that program.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I know, I can't remember what my I know when I joined the Army, I scored on the ASVAB. I think I scored it's like a 39. I had to get a waiver to come in the Army.
A 39.
Yeah, but I think I just rushed through it too.
Yeah, you were like
Yeah.
messing around.
But I know that it wasn't that big of a deal. I was like, I rushed through it. And I remember once I got to my first duty station, I got to Fort Stewart. I was like, oh man, I want to sit back. I want to raise my GT score so I can get to that, so I can get the tech escort. And I was like, again, all throughout school, I was told, oh, you're not going to go to college, this, that, and the third. And I'm so glad that I took that opportunity, and I was like, oh, I am smart. Like I do know a couple of things.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things that snowballed, and it just progressed, and I went to a lot, like almost every school that I went to, you had to have a 110 GT score or better.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of one that was like the key determining factor. What does the GT score mean? What is that?
So the general technical score is what the GT score stands for. And like I said, it's comprised of those 3 subtests. So it's comprised of your word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, and arithmetic reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what our instructors spend the class working on you with. It's about 150 vocabulary words that are always guaranteed in some way, shape, or form to be on the AFCAT. So our instructors teach those words, they teach synonyms, they teach your paragraph comprehension, and then they also teach the math that's going to be on the test, like your ratios, percentages, fractions. That's what it's focused on. And then when you take your AFCAT, you do actually get tested on all of your line scores. But even though BSEP really only hits on those 3 areas that make up the GT score, those areas can translate into some of your other line scores too. You know, like your ST score may have some arithmetic reasoning. So it's going to help you even if it's not focusing on that score.
Okay. Yeah.
What has the general feedback been from soldiers who have used the program to progress?
So when I took over, one of the things we actually added was a survey. We never had anything like that before. So we added a survey to see, what do you think? Because when I did take over, I wanted to make sure that we weren't just doing things how we've always done them. And I love reading our surveys. Almost every soldier, we ask if they would recommend this to someone. And I don't think we've ever had a soldier say no. We ask questions like, did your instructor prepare you? You know, was this beneficial? And it's just an overwhelming, yes, this is beneficial. Yes, my instructor helped me. And I think that goes back to one of the things that our instructors are really great at is building your confidence level. And I think if you can walk out of BSEP not only with a raised GT score, but an added confidence level, that can carry you to, I am smart. I can do this. I can go to college. I can commission. I can reclass. And our instructors are so great at making sure that you walk out of this class feeling like, yes, you can do this. So it's been great.
Sound life-changing.
Yes.
Yeah. So real quick before we get out of here, if for a soldier who's on the fence about it, what would be the top 3 reasons why a soldier should come to the BSEP program? Or at least look into it and come talk to you guys.
Yeah. I think reason number 1 is because if you are planning on making the Army a 20-year career, it only makes sense to not limit yourself. If you can take a BSEP class and get that 110 GT score, you can do anything. So let's say you come into the Army in your infantry, and a couple years down the line, you don't want to do that anymore, but you just don't have the scores. Take BSEP so that way that 20-year career can look a little bit more how you want it to look.
Okay.
So first and foremost, take BSEP to open up your career. Second, take BSEP if you really struggled in high school or if it's been a while, because we can be a free remedial class for you.
Yeah.
We can teach you those basic math and basic English skills that you maybe struggled with in high school or you've forgotten. So we can be that first step to you feeling comfortable and confident enrolling in college. And I think reason number 3 is just to build up your confidence and for you to be able to say, I have someone in my corner who knows that I can really be whatever I want to be in the Army.
Yeah.
They saw me. They worked me through it so that I feel comfortable. I feel confident. I feel like now I can do anything, both as a civilian and as a soldier. And it's amazing. So one of our instructors has been there for over 20 years.
Wow.
And one of our speakers at our BSEP graduation had him as his instructor. And he talked about in his graduation speech what an impact he made. And he carried that with him. And he always knew that Mr. Bailey was in his corner. So it just gives you an extra set of people to be behind you as you progress through your Army career. So
Okay.
I would say that's reason number 3.
Those are 3 amazing reasons. If people want to get a hold of you guys, how do they find you on the installation?
So we're located in the Education Center, which is in Building 33009, 761st Tank Battalion. We're the big Soldier Development Center, or the Education Center.
Oh, by Popeyes.
Yes,
Yes.
right across from Popeyes, right
Yes.
across from the library. We're in kind of a couple different places. So we're partially located in D Wing, which is our testing wing.
Okay.
And then my office is in room G229. We also have an email that soldiers can send an email to, phone number that they can reach us at. But if they can get to the Education Center, they
Okay.
can be directed to the right place.
Okay.
And are you guys normally in attendance at the education fairs?
Yes. Yep. And so at most of our college fairs, things like that, we'll have someone there to talk more about BSEP. We do a lot of unit outreach as education counselors, and we usually go speak about our programs during unit
So
outreach.
you're readily available.
Yes.
Soldiers can have access.
Very much so. Yep.
Okay. Well, is there anything that we didn't cover that you would like to cover before you get out of here?
I would say that's everything. Just as a reminder, the first step is attending that brief, which is every Monday at 10:45. If soldiers say, I want to do this, but I don't know where to start, that's step 1. We can help you with everything.
That's the easy
from there.
part.
Yes.
That's the hardest part, rather.
Yes.
That's the hardest part is
Yes.
just saying I want to get it done. And then after that,
Yes, we
it's
can
a
help
cakewalk.
with everything. When you show up to that brief, we can help you with everything else.
Well,
Okay.
you guys heard it here first.
Yeah.
They can help you with everything. You just go on over to the
Yes.
education center and you see Kirsten
Yep.
or any of the representatives, and they can get you started.
Yep.
All right. We will like to thank you for
Yes, thank you.
bringing up some old memories about
Yeah.
how my Army career. But again, thank you for coming out and thank you for sharing
you.
that knowledge base with us about the BSEP program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Ron Smiley with a message from the Fort Cavazos Army Substance Abuse Program, ASAP. As we enjoy the summer months this year, we must think about effective means to keep our community safe. A key ingredient to this process is always engaged leadership with a plan. The Fort Cavazos leadership and the ASAP are committed to ensuring we meet this challenge with our Summer Sense campaign, which runs from Memorial Day through Labor Day each year. The theme of the campaign each year is Keep It a Safe Summer Kiss. The goal of the campaign are to heighten awareness and reduce alcohol-related incidents so often related to the summer months. We have already suffered several traffic losses this year around the country due to alcohol-related incidents. Every one of these losses could have been prevented. We must stress to our soldiers, family members, and civilians in the community that high-risk behavior has a strong potential for high-risk consequences, such as injury or even death. Please take measures this summer to stay safe by not driving, swimming, or boating while drinking alcohol. Remember, in Texas, drive sober or you will get pulled over. For information on events related to this campaign, please call 287-7575 or look us up on our Facebook page. Thank you.
Oh, man. I enjoyed talking with Jared. He was cool. He was pretty cool.
I like that that's all you. It's just like he's cool. He was very cool.
Yeah.
Janice, you missed out. He was awesome.
Yeah.
But I know I missed out on your interview. So
Yes, it was great to get more information about the Basic Skills Education Program and how it helps soldiers further their careers.
yeah, which is very important these days. We want everybody to know all of the options that they have out there to further your careers, like you were saying, and just, take time to better yourself and work on yourself. So
Absolutely.
those are all important things.
Yeah. If you listen to this in real time, Freedom Fest is tomorrow, and we're going to be out there, and we're going to have a great time.
Yes. So Freedom Fest is going to be from 4 to 10 p.m. Obviously, it's tomorrow, Friday, June 23rd at the Phantom Warrior Stadium. The event is free. It's open to the public. If you don't have a way on the installation, you just got to get a visitor's pass, which you can do at the Visitor Center, which is open from 5 a.m. till 9 p.m. every day. Very exciting.
Keyword, free.
Yes,
free, folks.
So there's going to be Vanilla Ice, Tone Loc, and of course Bowling for Soup, who we just talked with. So very exciting stuff.
I'm feeling nostalgic.
Yeah,
I
know.
You said Tone Loc.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I know the whole show is like this.
It's a trip.
A trip back in
Yeah,
time,
back in
but like not
time.
that far away.
Back
but like
to the late 80s, early 90s, baby.
90s,
I know
2000s.
Not everybody was born back then, but
True.
I was.
Yeah, so Bowling for Soup, their album, he was saying, it's going to be 20 years old. I am 28, so I was
We
8
won't
years
say
old.
how old I am. I refuse to accept it.
Oh, that's okay. You're young at heart. That's all that matters.
That's right.
Yeah.
I like that. I'll take that.
You're only as old as you feel,
That is also correct. But yeah.
and I feel old.
Well, I feel young and I'm ready, so let's keep moving.
All right.
Okay, so Carl R. Darnell, Army Medical Center. I don't know why that was so difficult to say. I'm so used to saying Cardamcy
Yeah.
that like you really got to think about.
We know what that
Yes,
means,
yes.
but like our listeners may not.
True. Yes. Good point. So the hospital on the installation is going to be undergoing some pavement stripping and installing some street signs.
Okay.
So that is starting on July 8th, and it's going to be conducted in 3 phases. So there will be some road closures and parking lot closures that are going to be happening based off of where they're at on their projects. It's expected to be completed by August 4th. But for more information on the closures, you can visit Cardamcy's Facebook page or give them a call at 254-288-8000.
I just learned last week that number even existed.
Yes.
Did you know that?
I know, because I
of
told
course.
you the number
Exactly,
last
you
week.
did. Yes.
So, yes, you can call them, follow them on Facebook. They'll be posting all about it so that people are aware of what's happening. And speaking of closures, on July 11th, Fort Cavazos is going to be executing an installation-wide full-scale exercise. It's going to be happening from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., which means all day.
All day.
The scenario is going to be a response to a wildland fire causing evacuation of housing area residents. Of course, this is conducted to ensure the safety and security of the installation, but may impact some services across the installation that day as people are participating in the exercise. So make sure that you are confirming ahead of time if anything that you want to do on the installation, maybe close that day or have delays, just so that everyone can kind of be prepared for that. This is totally normal, happens all the time.
All the time.
So
Hey, it's a military installation,
it
folks.
is, yes. So
It's
just
part of it. It's just
be
part
prepared.
of it.
Yes, we love that.
Speaking of safety, now this is a good time I can say speaking
Oh
of.
yes, this is a good time.
So speaking of safety, it is hot outside. It is very warm.
It is.
Texas,
Yes.
and it's just preheating. Texas is still just preheating.
I hope it's not preheating.
Yeah, it
I don't
is.
want it to be any hotter.
It feels like it's on broil right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
make sure, everyone, make sure when you're out that you're drinking water.
Yes.
Drinking water, and make sure that if you're out with people, make sure that they're drinking water, because
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, heat cramps are nothing to play with.
Yes. So we've got the excessive heat warning going
Yes.
on. They've been nonstop. It has been, I just like you step outside and you feel gross.
Yes.
You just get smacked in the face
Yeah.
with the humidity and
That's
the heat.
very
That's
true.
what it feels
Yeah.
like.
It
Feels
feels
like
like,
we're
opening
swimming around.
your oven and sticking your hand face right there close to it to check to see if the meatloaf is done, and all you feel is the heat.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
it feels
but you
like.
feel that continuously as long as you're
Exactly.
outside.
Yeah.
That feeling.
Ugh.
Yeah. So yes, that is a great point. Make sure you are drinking water, finding shade where you can find shade, so you're not just standing in the sun. Wearing sunscreen.
Yes.
And very important to wear sunscreen.
And
If
take
you
breaks.
are working outside, take a break. Yes, I
Yes.
was just getting ready to say
Yes.
that, Eric. You are so right. Quick little breaks here and there,
Absolutely.
just to make sure that you're okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last but not least with the heat is just be aware that Fort Cavazos has started load shedding.
Okay.
Essentially, that just means that we're reducing our energy consumption during the highest demand part of the day, which is from 2 to 6 p.m. to reduce the strain on the Texas power grid. This is going to be happening now until probably September.
Okay.
But it's going to have no impact on barracks or family housing. So if it gets a little warm in your office, that's why. Just so everyone knows. It's okay. We're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, you're not in trouble. You're not in the hot seat.
But your seat might be a little warm.
It may be, but it's okay.
But it's not just for you. It's for everybody.
It's for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Just trying to do our part, be a good neighbor, save some money. I think we did it last year and we saved almost $500,000, which is a lot of money. So being good taxpayers, good stewards of the taxpayer dollars, being good neighbors, because we're trying to reduce the strain on the Texas power grid, which we know can have some issues sometimes. When
Absolutely.
everybody's trying to use it. So
Speaking of saving money, your thermostats at home, you can actually adjust them. Mine, I have a Nest, so it allows me to schedule what temperature it should be if I'm at home or if I'm not at home. So if you do that, bring up the temperatures a little bit if
Yeah.
you're not there, it actually will save money.
yeah, save your own personal dollars,
Yes.
which we also love.
Nope, I don't.
Because we know
He said
how high utility bills can be in Texas during the
do
summer.
know,
Yeah.
Eric.
Yeah.
That air conditioner is working overtime. You best believe it.
I had last month I had a $300
Yeah.
electricity bill.
Yeah.
I can't even get
refused.
surprised or
Yeah.
shocked or appalled because, that's normal in Texas.
That's
refuse-
crazy.
I refuse to be hot.
That's not normal. No, no one should be paying $300. Are you kidding me? No.
Refuse to be hot.
No, absolutely not. Wear a tank top and some shorts in your house. Put a fan on.
Yes.
Turn the
Yeah.
AC up.
There are, a
You
few
can do
ways
other
that we
things.
can chip away at
Yeah.
that high utility
Eat
bill.
some ice cream. You'll
Yeah.
you'll cool down. You'll
No,
be fine.
just go in there and get the
I'll
ice
take my
cubes and
chances.
just put them in the bag
Yeah.
and put them on your face.
There you go.
I'll take my chances with paying high electricity bills.
Well, not all of us want to do that. So for those who don't,
Yeah, for those of you who don't, make sure you practice good energy load sharing,
Yes.
shedding, and just turn off your AC or turn it up to 74 if you're not at the house.
or even
Well,
higher.
they say
Yeah, or even higher.
78 is what they
yeah.
say.
Yeah.
No. Y'all can't see my face,
And
but
then,
I am
like,
shaking my
an
head.
hour before you get home, you drop
Yes.
it down and let it bring,
Although, I
come up
have
to 10.
heard that if you leave it at a consistent temperature, no matter what, it could actually be better for you.
Yeah.
Talk about like 75.
Yeah, like just constantly leaving it at 75, because then it's not working too hard in the evening to like cool
Catch
it
up,
back
yeah.
down. But if you just like constantly leave it, so I don't know.
I'll have to try that.
need
It's
to do
just
some
so
research
hot,
in this
though.
office.
That 75 just not feeling
See,
like it used
but here's
to.
the thing: you just told him put some ice cubes on your
Yeah,
head.
see? Exactly.
Yeah.
Eat a popsicle.
Just so you know, folks, you're going to have to do some extra things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we thank you guys for listening to the podcast, and we hope to see, if you're listening in real time, we hope to see you at the Freedom Fest tomorrow, and we hope you guys have a great weekend.
It's going to be a wild and icy time.
Woo!
Oh,
That was good. That was good.
That was a good one.
Okay, we got to end on that note. Bye, everybody.
Bye. This podcast is a U.S. Army Garrison Fort Cavazos and Fort Cavazos Public Affairs production. Have a question or want to share some of your wisdom with us? Drop us an email at fortcavazos@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fort Cavazos Army. And as always, be sure to leave us a review and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.